Hey, this is Dr. George Moricz. Today you're going to discover how to naturally recharge the two glands that you not only had in youth, but gave you youth. Because these two glands deteriorate after youth, so after you go through puberty, it is responsible for most of what we call modern disease. This is not something you're going to hear in the regular doctor's office. You're not going to see it on TV, internet. They don't want to talk about this. Once I show you by the end of our conversation today how to recharge these, you could reset everything you ever thought about how aging occurs after puberty. Let me first talk about the first gland. Consider this the anti-aging gland that resets your biologic clock, okay? It is the very thing that when it's disrupted is responsible for poor metabolism, elevated blood sugars, and even increases your risk of cancer. In Eastern thought, it is considered the third eye, the pineal gland. It looks like a little pineapple. Consider it your pathway for deep sleep intuition. So, what happens after puberty is it starts to shrink, okay? It's the size of a pea and it starts to shrink. So we know that it already starts to create calcification. It doesn't work as effectively as soon as you finish puberty. The second gland that I'll share with you is called the thymus gland. This is where you make T cells. This is the army of cells that fight off infection. It's a very, very small gland. It's no greater than 2 inches in its largest size, and it's behind the chest bone. It atrophies. It gets smaller right after 10 to 12 years of age. So just like the pineal gland, the thymus gland, which makes the T cells, starts to already shrink right after puberty. And what is no coincidence is that you never have quite the same immune system, the strength of an immune system, as you do in youth. With my current bioactive wave technology, I'm able to recharge these two systems, the third eye, the pineal gland, and the thymus gland, which is responsible for your T cells, the way your body fights off infection. You're going to hear a lot of things in this field of bioidentical hormone replacement, but none of it addresses it as directly as I am telling you, sharing with you exactly what is done with the pineal gland and thymus gland. Any of the therapies that you take, they may augment it, they may increase your ability to immunomodulate, regulate your immune system. There are other therapies that may help you try to get to sleep, stay asleep. But when you go to the source of these two glands, I said this is the actual place that you go to reset your deep sleep intuition and to rebalance your immune system. We can only imagine how much we could have avoided if people had a fortified immune system that was rebalanced before the pandemic. We can only guess as to how different people's metabolism, ability to energize their body and brain during the daytime. We can only imagine how well they would have fought off disease over the past 3 to 4 years. See, most of the industry has your night and day completely wrong. There is a push for 5-hour energy drinks, caffeine, stimulants, including Ritalin, as a way to energize your day. What problems you have in the day were actually a result of what happened at night. So let's think about this, okay? So all the things that you're experiencing in the day are a result of something that happened at night. Whatever's happening between 2 and 3 in the morning, disruption, not getting that deep sleep, is actually affecting you by afternoon. That's why you have that lull in energy, you would like to take a nap, or you need to jumpstart yourself with caffeine or sugar. It's even more significant with your immune system. When you had youth, when you had this perfect thymus gland working, it was the correct size, it was cranking out this army of T cells, it wasn't a question of needing a booster or a vaccine or needing corticosteroids, synthetic prednisone type medication. What's worse is that there are a number of people, especially women, who received vaccines and they push them into what's called a Th2 effect. It's almost an allergic effect where the body can attack itself. And then the other push for boosting your immune system is completely crazy, because what that may do is cause what's called the Th1 effect, where you attack your body, like people with multiple sclerosis, type 1 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, and inflammatory bowel disease. What you're really seeking is a balanced immune system so that it doesn't over-recognize, it doesn't under-recognize, it doesn't overreact, but is able to react enough and do it in the right order so it doesn't cause flares in your body. We even know people who get either exposed to a virus, bacteria, pathogen, or even a vaccine, and they die. None of that is necessary when you can recharge your thymus gland. And we're not talking about hematologic agents, immunologic agents that try to stimulate one line of cells like they do when people get cancer. A word or two about the pineal gland, this little third eye that most people really don't think about unless they hear about it in other fields of thought. So we hear about this in the Eastern thought as the third eye. But really what it is, it's a very active part of your central nervous system, and because it's a circadian rhythm regulator, it regulates night and day. It regulates that deep intuition. And what we have gathered through our understanding of the things that it secretes is it really may be your longevity gland. So what you understand by now is that when you had youth, you had these perfectly optimized glands, one in the brain and one behind the chest bone. One to regulate the rhythms of the body, their circadian rhythms, your deep sleep intuition, and then the other one behind the chest bone to regulate your immune system. You now understanding this, realize that by naturally recharging these things saves you all the frustrations of getting old. 10, 20, 30 years out, you see a society that has been debilitated by obesity. You see diabetes, you see cardiac morbidity, you see people having blood vessel events. And then on the other hand, which was tested by the pandemic, you see people succumb to infections. You see people react to vaccines. You see people not having long-standing immunity. And then you see them stuck on medications, whether it's for their metabolism, metabolic syndrome, high cholesterol, blood pressure, whether it's for the body overreacting, people staying on constant nasal sprays, they're staying on corticosteroids, they're staying on antihistamines. And then not to mention all the so-called natural treatments to boost their immune system, which may not be doing it the way you did years ago. See, everything I'm talking about here is rewinding you to youth, resyncing you to youth using something so basic. Identify the glands that are not working, recharge them naturally using wavelength technology. Once they start secreting and optimizing their function, then you no longer need to depend on all these other medications, succumb to illness, and worry about being diseased again. Thanks for tuning in today on Resyncing You to Youth with the 2 youth glands that not only you had in youth, gave you youth, and is responsible when it deteriorates for most of what I see in adult disease.